Hey everyone, it's Ryan from sonofvin. Welcome back. Well, this is my first video for what I'm calling 50 wines from 50 states. I hope you've had a chance to check out some of my blog posts from some of the other states I've already reviewed, but this is the first time I'm actually going to do a video for one particular state. It should be possible to actually try wine made from all 50 states. Now, some states, they do tend to import in from other states grapes and then crush them, ferment them, make the entire process and label their own wines. But I'm really trying to avoid that at all costs. I really want this to be about trying fruit from a particular state being turned into wine. And if I find out specific wines do contain grapes, fruits, what have you from other states, I'm basically eliminating them or just trying to simply find something else instead, because that's not what this is about. I'm trying to find wines made from grapes as well as other fruits from specific states. And as you can see, that can be hard sometimes because, well, you'd think with us being one big country, 50 states and a bunch of other territories involved, that it would be easy to ship from one state to another state inside the same country. But when it comes to alcohol, the laws and rules and everything else differ from each and every state, which can be kind of a pain in the ass. And I'd heard of some of this, but I certainly wasn't expecting some of the problems that I've run into. And being in California, you'd think, you know, we're a winemaking state, that some of the other states, it would be easier for me to be able to purchase wine from these states and get it to California. But it's actually been kind of the opposite. I've run into a lot of situations, in fact, that pretty much every winery from those particular states all use shipping services that have crazy rules and laws put in place that require freighting the wines I want to purchase and then to their warehouse in California, and then turning around and shipping them from their warehouse to me here in Southern California. And it's just ridiculously priced for, you know, a handful of bottles, 2-3 bottles from each location I'm trying to purchase. So it ends up being a lot of work and a lot of money as well. So I'm trying to get around that as much as I can. And at the same time, it's been interesting that a lot of these wineries in these states are actually making it hard for me to know what is in their wines. I don't know if it's just because they're not used to people buying their wines, being interested in exactly what grape is in their wine and or where that grape comes from. But I'm finding that quite often that they have a funny name for their wine or something, you know, that they came up with that represents either an animal in the region they're from, or, you know, a school mascot or something, or just something, some kind of a cool name that they came up with for that wine. But other than the fact that it's red or white, you don't really necessarily know what is in that wine, and on top of that, where it came from. A lot of times I find that they're not necessarily also abiding by the situation where they say it's all the grapes are from that particular state. They may just say it's a Cabernet Sauvignon. And they don't really say if it's an American Cabernet Sauvignon, which means it's pretty generic and it's just blended with a bunch of grapes from all over the country, or it's from that specific state, Cabernet Sauvignon. And so we end up running into situations where I have to skip. I have to move on. I have to go find somebody else. I will email some of the wineries to get more specifics, and most of the time that's worked out. One of the times I ended up being told the wrong thing and than what was on the actual bottle's label. So that sucks, but I found somebody else in spite of that. So as I said earlier, a lot of these wineries use grapes. However, there are certain parts of this country that, quite frankly, grapes just don't grow due to temperature, whether it's too hot or too cold. It really doesn't help being able to grow what we know is the typical grapes that make wines. Now, America is also well known for using a lot of hybrids, a lot of these that are, you know, Nortons, the Chambersons. Some of these had to resort to other fruits, and which is totally fine. They are still considered wines. The 49th state in the country Alaska isn't typically something you would think of that makes their own wine. Now, you know, there's not tons of vineyards up there, rolling hills full of Cabernet Sauvignon grapes growing. It'd be cool, sure, but it's too cold. It's dark too long during the year. It can be too sunny sometimes during the year. But that will not stop people from making booze. I mean, come on, we all want to drink some booze here and there. So some people obviously come up with different ways to continue making alcoholic beverages. And, you know, sometimes you import in grapes, and sometimes you rely on berries, which Alaska is very much well known for having amazing berries, all different kinds. So why not use what you have and make something really good out of it? So my particular winery for Alaska is Bear Creek Winery. They were founded in 2004, though the owners of Bear Creek Winery had been making homemade wines in their basement for plenty of years prior to that. It wasn't officially until 2004 that they actually started their business. And they do, as far as I can see, they do list a couple of other wines that are supposed to be the real, like what you know as wines, like Chardonnays, but I'm not convinced that that is fully Alaskan grown Chardonnay grapes. I couldn't find anything that said for sure. If they do call it an Alaskan Chardonnay, it is 70% Chardonnay and 30% rhubarb. So that's an interesting combo. But I did not purchase one of those for this. In fact, I'm not sure if it was available at the time that I actually purchased these wines, but it is something they do list, so it may be worth checking out in the future. The second thing that is definitely worth checking out is Bear Creek Winery also has a bed and breakfast as part of their wine tasting establishment, and all the pictures look amazing, and hopefully someday I can get myself up there to actually stay in this amazing looking bed and breakfast in Homer, Alaska, and see what it's about. I mean, enjoy some time periods trying all their different wines, as well as checking out the area. So anyway, I'm now going to open these wines, and we'll talk more about the actual wines after this. Hey everybody, we're back. Well, I can officially announce I have had wine from Alaska. I can mark that state off my list, and it's quite amazing to say that I've tried these wines, because I don't normally like sweet wines, but maybe something subconscious got turned off, because I don't think of these as your typical white wines or your typical grape sweet wines. Something about these was definitely different for me. I just went into it with kind of a clear, empty opinion on what I was about to try, and I'm very happy. These are darn good wines, especially on a super hot day. I'd love to pull these out, because this is some good stuff. Funny enough, when you think about trying grape wines, you have to test the nose, you have to do the tasting, you have to have the finish, and all these little things you have to learn along the way. You start to hear people talk about different fruits that you smell in these wines and all of that. And I remember my early days and trying to learn all of that, people would say, oh, some black currant. I'm like, what the hell is black currant? I couldn't tell you off the top of my head if I'd ever even had a black currant. I had through jam, but I couldn't actually tell you if I had ever eaten a fresh blackcurrant before. And well, here is a blackcurrant wine. So it's funny to actually drink a wine that tastes and smells like blackcurrant, because guess what? It is blackcurrant. I enjoyed this wine. It's obviously a thinner color than you typically find in a red wine. And that's to be expected, because it's not red grapes, it is black currant. But this is supposedly 100% Alaskan grown black currant, and I have to say I enjoyed this wine. It's really good. So if you ever have a chance to get up to Homer, Alaska, stay at the B&B, try their black currant, because it's damn amazing. For my second For my second wine, now this is supposedly kind of what brings it all back for Bear Creek Winery when they first were getting started learning how to make wines, long before they had the real business. The information says that they made rhubarb wine, which rhubarb is very popular in Alaska. And again, I'm not particularly sure if I even can tell you what a rhubarb smells like until I go and pull out a rhubarb and smell it and say, oh yeah, that's what a rhubarb smells like. But this particular wine is strawberry rhubarb, so it's not 100% rhubarb, but it is a mix of strawberries and rhubarb. It is 70% strawberry, 30% rhubarb, and I have to say that the color is extremely thin, which is to be expected. I mean, it's, you know, there's no like skins on this wine, so it's kind of like a white wine, almost a white rosé in a way. But there is a tiny bit of rhubarb on the nose, but primarily I just smell strawberry. And when it comes to the taste, I taste strawberry. I don't really taste any rhubarb in it at all. Now, I'm pretty sure that they probably recommend these wines being chilled, and drinking them colder is probably what most people recommend, the same way they tend to recommend drinking white wines and dessert wines chilled. I actually find that sometimes that mutes too much of the flavor for me. So when it came to this tasting, I specifically did not chill these wines beforehand. Now for after the video, and when I decide to have more of this over the next day or so, I'm going to drink them chilled just to see if I get any additional notes or any extra things that maybe I'm missing. Maybe there is more of a rhubarb taste once it gets chilled. I'll find out. But for now, there is very little. But I have to say, I enjoy trying both of these wines. I can say now that I've tried wines from Alaska, that's one more state to mark off my list. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy watching and trying wines from all over the US. So many states to choose from, so much geography to learn, so much about these little towns along the way that I'm picking up. And talking sometimes on the phone to the winery people themselves is also kind of fun to get to know them. And I do even mention what I'm currently trying to do. So it's kind of a cool little personal vendetta, if you will, that I'm on. I want to mark off all 50 states, and we'll go from there about all those other territories and see if they have any. But again, America, all 50 states makes wine. Get out there, try them all. Until next time, guys.